Hello and welcome back, I'm Mike.
And this is Aiden.
And we have another deck profile. It's now the complete proper...
it's the proper competitive version.
Of?
Zombie Horde, zombies, however you want to call it.
So, as we all know by now, Aiden is the man who does all the decks, so I'm handing over to him. You carry on, man.
Coolio! I was very excited.
Yeah, a bit too early. There we go.
Move the extra deck out of the way.
You want to do this for a bit, haven't we?
I know. So, we'll just get straight into it. So what we noticed from the last deck profile where we did the budget version, we were running this guy at 3. You can do that. Obviously the problem is with this guy, you can keep sort of reviving him from the graveyard, so having 3 can be quite cloggy. You know, sometimes at 2, I still see this sometimes, and you don't want it in your hand. So, but it got called by the grave once and it got banished, and then I only had 1 copy, so I was like, no, okay, it stays at 2. But obviously anyone who knows the zombie archetype and this new card, he's absolutely insane. So obviously you can keep reviving from the graveyard as long as there's a field spell on either player's side of the field, obviously bear in mind. And he can negate effects and banish monsters from the field or graveyard, and you can use both of those effects within the same turn so long as a zombie monster activates its effect, which when you have your field spell, Zombie World, including your opponents as well. So you had some trouble with that card as well, didn't you? Yeah. Moving on. The 3 solitaire, because I've seen some decks like run this at 2 and then 1, and I mean it's all well and good to run your own ratio of cards, but it's too good not to run at 3 because you want this as a starting card. So this gets you to your uni-zombie, and then as I said in the previous video, say you go second, your opponent has a monster that can obviously have its level adjusted. This is your 1 card Red Eyes Necro, or obviously it could be a 1 card level 8 synchro, however you want to sort of choose the scenario. But yeah, he's just too good not to run at 3. Same for Uni-Zombie. You could technically run this at 2, but the problem I found with this is if you've got certain cards in hand, like Baladrock, your boss, or Mizuki or Banshee, and you want ways to get them in the graveyard, you can just like send them off him and then send a monster from your deck, so he can set up a lot of plays. Like there's been times where I've had Banshee in hand, so I'll summon this guy, use his effect, target himself, send Banshee, banish Banshee for Zombie World, and then send Bloom from deck to graveyard with his secondary effect, and then you get your Baladrock, and then you can go into like a link play and you can set up a combo from there. So you could run it at 2, but I just like to see it as soon as possible.
Personal preferences and such.
It is. And then 3, Mizuki. You could run this at 2 because he's not a combo starter, he's an extender, but I do like to see it. Even if it is in my hand, as I said, there's ways I can get out of my hand. He's basically 3 monster reborns for you, so you're technically running an extra 3 monster reborns for zombies. You can set up a lot of synchro plays, sort of OTK plays if you've got the board to do it. I think he's too good to run at not run at 3, but you could definitely run it at 2 if you want. 2, Gozuki. He's not as good as Mizuki, but I think you should definitely run at least 2. 3 is too much, but 2 is just fine. He's basically a foolish burial for zombies, and then if you ever need to use the secondary effect of when he's sent to the graveyard, banish another zombie and then summon 1 from your hand. So again, it can unclog your hand and help out that way, so it's pretty cool. And then 2 Glow Up Blooms, because it is a hard once per turn effect, so you don't want to see too many of the card. And there's plenty of ways for you to get this from deck to graveyard, hand to graveyard, and then trigger off his effect to search one of your boss cards as well. So he's really, really good. And then 2 Banshees, because this is... it's okay. It can protect your Zombie World from card effects or being destroyed when it's on the field, but generally I don't think I've played a game where I've actually had this on the field. You just want to get her to the graveyard as soon as possible and then set up a play for Zombie World. So sometimes I'll already have Zombie World on the field, but I'll send her to the graveyard just so I know if my opponent destroys it, I can quick effect, banish her, and then get another one straight from the deck, which they can't ash it either because it's not adding to hand. It's just activated straight from the deck, which is pretty cool. the one-offs now. I only play 2 one-offs, but we got Shiranui Spectral Sword because it's you don't have to run this card in all honesty, but I do like it because it can help make it's a 1-card Crystal Wing, and it helps make any of your sort of rank 8 plays with Shiranui Solitaire. So you said you can run this if you want, but I like it just because it does help. And then 1 Vampire Fräulein, yep. German. I've seen other decks run this at 2 and 3, and by all means you can, because it's basically like a sort of like an Honest for zombies, where you special summon it and then you can pay life points in multiples up to 3,000, obviously by the hundreds, to give a zombie monster that much attack during the battle phase. But it comes up sometimes. Every time I've seen it, it comes up, but I found when I was running it at 2 and 3, I saw it too much, and I didn't really like seeing it at certain times of the game, but it's definitely a good one-off. And rounding off the monsters is the 3 Ash, because I was running Ghost Ogre, and by all means you can run however much hand traps you want. If you're on a budget, you could run Ghost Ogres, Veilers, Droll, whichever one suits your preference. But the reason I like this, it synergizes well being a zombie to begin with. If there's ever a point where you don't have like Zombie World on the field and you need to summon a certain zombie type monster, this can summon back from the grave with Mizuki, which I have done before. It's a tuner, so you can go into zombie synchro plays with it as well. But overall, I still think this and Droll are like the best hand traps in the game right now. That rounds off monsters. Spell cards, 3 Zombie World, because this card is what makes the deck work. It doesn't really advance the game state in the fact that it just changes everything to zombies and in the field and graveyard. But obviously, it helps your Baladrock effect go off, because your opponent's monsters then count 2. But I do run another card in the deck which makes this even better. It's sort of like a lockdown combo, which is pretty cool. And then the 2 Terraforming, so essentially with Banshee and this you're running 8 copies, let me just work that out, yeah, 8 copies of Terraforming, or 7, sorry, which is pretty cool. So you know, with other cards in the deck, you're not really going to be short on seeing Zombie World, so it's definitely worth having. 2 Call by the Grave, because hand traps suck. This deck relies on the normal summon quite a lot. There's been times where you'll like summon Uni-Zombie, summon Solitaire, you know, you'll try to get their effect off, and then you get ashed or something like that. It's not fun. Just having Call by the Grave just helps protect it and make sure those plays go off. I think I'm into the one-offs now of the deck. 1 Instant Fusion. I like this as a attack card. I run a few different targets for it, which can help certain scenarios, but it's a good extender, and it can obviously get you into really easy synchro plays as well, which is really cool. The 1 Super Polymerization, absolutely amazing card in this deck, because I run a target in the extra deck, and obviously with Zombie World on the field, your opponent's monsters will count as well. You discard a card as the cost, which again can clear your hand of, say, Mizuki's or your boss monster or a Glow-Up Bloom if it's in your hand. Get a search or a summon off that, and then basically snatch 2 of your opponent's monsters, or 1, depends on when you use it. But really, really good, because cards can't be activated in response to it either, which is cool. 1 Foolish Burial, because you need it in this deck. It sends any target, sets up plays from there. Not really much more to say on that one.
Apart from the fact it's not in English.
Oh, no, it's not. What is it? Sepulturous... I don't even know.
Sioka?
I just saw it was Secret Rare, and I was like, I don't like the common. I'll just buy it. And I was like, oh, it's foreign. I don't know. The 1 for 1. This searches your Glow-Up Bloom target. Essentially, I was debating, do I run 3 Glow-Up Blooms or 2 Glow-Up Blooms and this, because I was thinking ratio reasons, but the problem if you, as I said, with Glow-Up Bloom, it's a hard once per turn, so having this can give you, even if, say, you've used Gloom's effect that turn, this can still get rid of a monster in your hands, like, say, Mizuki's, if they are clogging your hand, summon it from the deck, and it could be like a link for another material as well, so, or another material for a link summon, sorry, so it's good to have at 1. 1 Monster Reborn, I don't think we need to say anything on that one.
Monster Reborn, there we go.
1 Card Destruction, because this came off the ban list recently, and it's actually really, really good in this deck, because I said a lot of your monsters don't mind being in the grave, and sometimes if you open up with a suboptimal hand in this, I'm more than happy to like ditch my entire hand of monsters to draw a fresh hand, because more than likely you'll set something up in the grave to sort of extend your plays from there. 2 Desires, because don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of this card at all.
You don't like it, do you?
But I was running a lure in the deck, but I found I didn't have enough targets, because there's times where you sort of run into an Allure of Darkness, but you've got a Solitaire or Ash Blossom or something in hand that's just really not working for you right there and then. So with this, you're running triples, doubles of like every card in the deck. The only ones you're really not is your one-offs, but they're not too bad if you banish them. So every time I've resolved this card, it's never really hindered me, so it's definitely worth running. But if you run more dark targets, you could definitely use Allure. And then the last 3 cards, Rivalry of the Warlords, because I haven't seen many decks run this. Obviously, I'm not saying it's my idea, but I'm just saying I came up with this to run in the deck, and it actually works out really well. I had to get check the rulings on this first, because I was like, if it changes everything to zombies with Zombie World, does that mean this card is pointless because they can only summon zombies? But the ruling is they can only control one type of monster. So if you drop this card at the right time, changes their monsters to zombies, then they can't summon anything outside of that ruling. So if they want to go for something in their extra deck or their hand or their deck, it's not a zombie until it hits the field. So in the hand, extra deck or deck, they can't summon it. So you can sort of catch people out with this. It's quite a nasty card when you do it. That rounds off the main deck. That's 40 cards as usual. I don't think I'll ever go over 40. Extra deck, 2 Vampire Suckers. Actually like this card. It's quite expensive actually. This card got quite a price bump. I was quite shocked that it went quite expensive. But 2 zombie monsters, it's your generic link. It lets you summon a zombie from your opponent's graveyard, or lets you summon a monster and it becomes a zombie, sorry. And then once per turn of a zombie monster summoned from either graveyard, you draw a card. So a good turn 1 board is if you can get your Baladrock and this, get a free draw, and then just keep going off from there. It's pretty cool. 1 Scaldred, this can be any link you want, I guess, rank 4, rank 3. I run it because I don't have Borrow Load anymore. I don't have Firewall, and this is probably one of my favourite link monsters, the way it can just give you extra draw power and special summoning power, plus an attack boost. I got this out once with, I think it was like a board of 3 synchros. That was his game, just looking at the board. 1 Nightmare Phoenix, as I said, this could be any link you want. The reason I like this is because back row can sometimes get in the way, whereas when this summons, it can pop a back row for free for you. So that's literally the only reason I run it. Synchros, 1 Psy-Frame Megalord, easy to summon, or Psy-Frame Lord Omega, sorry. Yeah. Easy to summon, rank 8, can be quite a disruptive card. Anyone who's played against this or knows of it, it's very good. 1 Crystal Wing, because you can make it easy with Shiranui Spectral Sword. With your Solitaire, as I said, it's a 1 card summon. 1 Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, really amazing card. It can blow up the board, inflict 500 for each special summon monster other than itself, and then you can attack as well directly. So I said I resolved this once and then won the game due to it, so it's a really good card. Beals as well, because it does require a Dark Tuner, which you have with Zombie. Can't be destroyed by card effects or battle, and gains attack as well. So sometimes this can come in handy because you can stall games out with it as well. 1 Shiranui Shogun Saga. It's actually a really good OTK card, this one. So you can, if you've got Baladrock, summon this with, say, Spectral Sword. You can go, your level 6 that you will have initially gone into will more than likely be the Zombie Archfiend. So when you summon this, you banish the Zombie Archfiend, making this 5,500 attack. With your Baladrock as well, it's more than enough attack to get over something as well. And then you 1 Red Eye Zombie Necro Dragon, because just the 1 is all you need. Every time I bought this out, he's at least been 4,000 attack. So you can really set up sort of quick wins and games from this card. 1 Black Rose rounds off my rank 7s, because sometimes you just want to blow up the board if something's getting in the way. More than likely, you're not going to want to do it if you haven't got sort of a follow-up from that, but it said it can come in handy. And then the 1 Archfiend Zombie Skull, this is what you make off Spectral Sword, which will allow you to go into your rank 8 plays and your Crystal Wing as well. And then rounding off the fusions, I'll just put them all out. So This guy, Dragon Necro, he's really cool because he just requires 2 zombie monsters. So this is our ultra polymerization or super polymerization target. You summon this guy by ideally getting rid of 2 of your opponent's monsters when they're zombies. It's a free 3k attack on the board for you. Reaper of the Nightmare, and Zombie Warrior, sorry, they're your instant fusion targets. Rank 5 and a rank 3. You can make your level 8 plays easy with this, and on this with Zombie once helped me make Red Eyes Necro and push for game, so it just gives you options based on the level, so you can sort of go into whatever plays you want.
Leave those there a second. Right, okay.
What?
First of all, are these 2 just like common cards?
Commons?
Is that commons? I can't tell.
It's a super, it's a super rare.
Super. No, that's a common right there.
It's a common.
That's old.
It is, and I was like, do I run this? I was like, there's probably other targets for it, but
the last
I was testing with it because I had Zombie World on the field, summon Zombie, and then you can go straight into Necro from there and get your boss guy on the field, so it's really good.
Last thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a gold secret rare?
It's a gold secret rare because it only comes in gold secret rare, I think.
So what you're saying is hashtag Gold Club.
Hashtag Gold Club.
Yeah!
That's a thing. Yeah.
There
you
we
like
are.
your gold.
Oh, yeah. I love it. People don't, but there's a good chunk of people who do. And they'll be saying that down in the comments. Hashtag Gold Club.
I remember seeing that on a video before. I was like, what's that all about? That's pretty cool, though.
Well, there we go. That was the full proper deck that you're going to be running from now on for a little bit. And it's a bit of a beast, in all honesty.
It tests really well. Yeah. It's actually quite consistent. I was going between a lot of different versions, and I was getting so much sort of inconsistency. And then as soon as I bumped the thing is, I bumped the terraforming up, which I was afraid to do because I was like, if you see too much of Field Spell, then it's cloggy. Yeah. But you want to see it as soon as possible. So
makes sense.
How the ratios work now, it works the best.
Well, there we go. What do you guys think? Are you interested in this zombie deck? Is it a little different to what you might run? Do tell us down in the comments. It's going to be quiet towards the end of the year when it comes to releases, so you may see some more deck profiles. We've got a little idea coming up very, very soon, which you might be interested in.
Oh yeah,
we might be playing a few games against each other, which you might see. But until then, it is goodbye from me
and goodbye from me, guys.
See ya.